Texas State Representative Matt Schafer filed House Bill 20 on Friday, which proposes the creation of a Texas Border Protection Unit. What? Don't we already have one of those? No, this one is completely citizen run, equipped to arrest, detain, and deter individuals crossing the border illegally, including with the use of non-deadly force. Under the bill, the unit's selected chief would be allowed to employ law-abiding citizens without a felony conviction to participate in the unit, although the proposal states that citizens may not have arresting authority unless trained and specifically authorized by the governor. The bill also states that Texas Governor, currently Republican Greg Abbott, shall appoint a citizen of the United States as Border Protection's unit chief. The unit leader, as well as their self-appointed deputy and assistant chiefs, would also be entitled to an annual salary as provided by the legislature. Okay, so you already have Customs and Border Patrol, which has incredible jurisdiction, and apparently that's not enough. And all of their abuses, which have been well documented by many human rights groups, as well as this show, that's not enough. Vigilante groups that self-organize, that's not enough. We need a sanctioned vigilante group from law-abiding citizens without felony convictions who just happen to like shooting at and around immigrants.
Just increase teacher pay, dude. Like, are they like, come on, what a waste of money. The idea that like any money can be used to compensate any of these individuals is ridiculous, first of all. It is classic government bloat from the party of small government. It's also just ridiculous. Like, in what world does this end well? In what world? Like, take a look at like what's the best case scenario for everything working out. We've got a bunch of emboldened losers who want to be cops but can't even meet the very bare bones bottom of the barrel requirements to become cops. Are allowed to sort of become cop juniors and act in ways using non-lethal force without much training. It's like, how are these people going to be trained to make sure that the force they use is non-lethal? Like what weapons are they going to be allowed to have? Like, a taser can be a lethal weapon if it's used by a person who lacks appropriate training.
Yes.
Or who use it if it's used by a person with who just wants to inflict pain on somebody and has no regard for how to pull it back when it's time. It just seems like a huge waste of money. It asks way more questions than it answers. Like, how will any of this work? This seems like a really bad plan. And I think we've found a new job that attracts the worst kind of person in the world.
Customs and Border Patrol already attracts the worst people.
Exactly.
It has more, it's like the biggest federal agency, right? It has so much money, and Customs and Border Patrol realizes that they're ineffective. They have written under Trump, they wrote and they said, look, I feel like we're not very effective because a lot of people demonize us. They think that we're bad. So maybe we should, this is ICE officials, by the way. Maybe we should actually take some money away from ICE, i.e. defund ICE and move it into other programs. They have been saying this, that anyway, so that's, some of them know that they're terrible. The rest of them just kind of sit in their giant trucks all day long, their 4x4s, and wait for a mom with a child running away from a cartel violence in Central America so they can lock them up and demonize them and detain them. Just it's insane. So we already have those bodies if you want to go aggress upon undocumented immigrants. They exist there, sadly, but not enough for Greg Abbott.
For a second, can I put on a tinfoil hat for a second, Francesca?
Yeah, sure.
So this is also something, you mentioned that the federal government is the organization behind the Customs and Border Protection, right? There's already a federal program for this, but there's something, for me, this registers as Texas kind of power gridding law enforcement. And by that, I mean, they're setting up a redundant entity in a way to sort of eventually maybe move the federal government further out of Texas and allowing them to become even crueler and more awful to people who are just trying to come to this country and not, be subject to unimaginable violence. It seems like a way, to me, it seems like Texas is trying to sidestep the pretty out of control organizations that the federal government already has working down there. They're no, they're not out of control enough. We need to put our Texas spin on it and let these people have the same job that feds have.
Absolutely.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.